Howdy, 8th grade. So today is another day where we're going to do mostly review with this lesson. So it's mostly things we've seen before. We're just combining a couple different things to be able to use them together. So we've already solved some inequalities with addition and subtraction. We've solved some with multiplication, division. And just so that we remember, solving inequalities is going to be exactly like solving equations, with a couple exceptions. So our first exception is we have to keep track of the pesky inequality sign. So we can't just kind of ignore this. For the equal sign, it's very simple because we know what it's going to be. For the inequalities, it's very, very important to keep track of which one of these signs we're using. The second big thing that we have to remember, really important, is that with inequalities, we cannot divide or multiply by a negative number unless we do something else. And we can't do this unless we also flip our sign. Other than that, we're going to have basically the same strategy of solving inequalities as we do of solving regular old equations. So I'll show you guys a quick example. If I have something that says 8m minus 12 is less than or equal to negative 36. So there's my first example here. And again, we can do this exactly like we solve a regular old equation. So we'll just pretend that this is an equal sign and do it like we would that. So if I'm solving, my goal is to get m alone. I have an 8 here and a 12 here. That's an ugly 8. Let me fix that. Generally speaking, it's easier to get rid of the subtraction before the multiplication. Again, you can do either way, but dividing 12 by 8 is going to give us an ugly fraction. So I would rather get rid of the subtraction before we do the multiplication. So to get rid of subtraction, we do the opposite, which is adding. Add 12 to both sides. And 8m minus 12 plus 12 is just going to be 8m. Make sure I keep my sign there. And negative 36 plus 12 is going to be negative 24. After that, all I'm going to do to get m alone is it's being multiplied by the 8. Opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by 8, and I get m is less than or equal to negative 3. Note right here that I divided by a positive, so I didn't have to switch my sign, so my sign stayed the same. And this right here is my final answer. If you did want to graph the solution, sometimes you'll be asked to. So what that would look like is we would get a number line. Let's go up to 5, down to negative 5. If I find negative 3, which is right here, I would draw a circle. It has this or equal to thing, which means that it's possible for negative 3 to be in the solution. Because of that, we fill in the circle. And m is going to be less than negative 3. So if it's less than negative 3, it would be shooting off in that direction. And just like that, we have a graph solution. We are good to go. Let's find a little bit of a harder problem to work on. So if I have, let's do negative 3/4 y plus 1/2 is less than 7/10. So there's a lot of fractions here, a lot of stuff going on. But I wanted to do this problem just to prove to y'all that we don't, that we can do this the exact same way we do normal equations. So when I see all these fractions, I don't like them. I want to get rid of them. And I remember that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to both sides of the equation, as long as I do it to both sides. So I see this 10 here, and I don't like fractions over 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides here by 10. So this 10 is going to distribute in right here. So 10 times 3/4 would be negative 30/4 y plus a half times 10, which is 5, is less than 7. So I already have a whole lot less fractions now. This is making me real happy about how this is going. But I still have this 30 over 4y, which I can simplify to negative 15 over 2y. Plus 5 is less than 7. And I still don't like that fraction there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. 2 times that, and this times 2. and we should be all good to go after this. So my 2 is going to distribute in, and I end up with negative 15y plus 10 has to be less than 7 times 2, which is 14. And from here, it's a lot easier to figure out what's going on. So I need to get y by itself. To do that, I will subtract 10 from both sides. Negative 15y is going to be less than 4. And now I have to divide y by negative 15. And this is the tricky part. So negative 15y divided by negative 15 is definitely y. 4 over negative 15 is just negative 4/15. But my sign here, because I am dividing by a negative, is going to switch, and I'm going to have y is greater than negative 4/15. And this is going to be my final answer. That's pretty much how all these work, is we do exactly the same thing as we would with a regular multi-step equation, but if we multiply or divide by a negative, we have to make sure that we flip the sign, and when we flip the sign, we should be good to go. So if y'all do the lesson practice for this, that'd be awesome, and I will see y'all in class tomorrow. Toodaloo.